coming up on Locked On Dodgers. If that was an NLCS preview, it sure did live up to the hype. The Dodgers drop a close game to the Braves. It didn't look like it was going to be a close game. They were down 7-1. Lance Lynn was terrible. They battled back, ended up losing 8-7. Acuña and Betts, the MVP candidates, battled back and forth, traded blows. Honestly, it was everything that we hoped it would be, other than the Dodgers losing. So a lot to talk about with this, talk about whether Lance Lynn can be trusted against the Braves in October. Vince will have an in-person report from the stadium. A lot of great stuff from this. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. Or even better, go ahead and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. Then you can be an everydayer just like we are. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snider. My co-host is Vince Samperio. We're doing a split episode today, so Vince will be with you for the second half of this. I will take you through the first half. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like you are. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. So we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And speaking of getting started, it's funny. This wasn't the first matchup between the Dodgers and Braves this year. They played each other back in May. Back then, we knew that both teams were good, but the Dodgers weren't in first place. The Braves weren't as good as they are right now. But now, as they meet up as September, we start the last month of the season, the Braves and Dodgers are both in first place. They have the two best records in baseball. They're the two best teams in baseball. And there was a lot of hype. Basically, people thinking of this as an NLCS preview with good reason. It's not guaranteed that it will. We thought the same thing last year when the Dodgers played the Mets because they were the two best teams in the league at the time. And the Padres took out both the Dodgers and the Mets. Neither of them made it to the NLCS. Hopefully it's not the case this year. Hopefully only the Braves get taken out early and the Dodgers play somebody else in the NLCS. But if this is an NLCS preview, I mean, it was everything we could have hoped for. With one exception. In the second segment today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Lance Lynn because while overall my view on this game, I said it on Twitter that the Dodgers could sweep the series or get swept in the series, and it really wouldn't change my outlook much at all if they do meet up in the NLCS. Like, I wouldn't be more or less confident no matter what happens in this series because they're two good teams. Anything can happen in October and anything can happen in baseball on any given day. And so it doesn't really matter. Like, it matters because I want the Dodgers to win every time they play because I love the Dodgers. It matters as far as the Dodgers now can't catch the Braves this series. Going into the game, the Dodgers are 4 games behind the Braves for the best record in baseball, more specifically the best record in the National League and the 1 seed. Now they're 5 back with 3 games left in this series. So they can't catch them in this series. I still hope the Dodgers win the next 3, but it won't change my outlook on October. But there are specific things that we can learn. It's kind of like when people play in October. In October, what does October have to do with Colorado? Nothing. When the Dodgers play in Colorado, I always say, don't get too high or too low because nothing that happens in Colorado is real. That's kind of the way I feel about any of these playoff preview series. You remember in 2017, the Dodgers lost 6 games in a row to the D-backs in August and September. And then they played the D-backs in the NLDS and they swept them. So this doesn't really mean anything. If the Dodgers had won, it wouldn't mean anything. My favorite go-to example is 1988. The Dodgers went 1-10 against the Mets. The Mets outscored the Dodgers 49-18 in those 11 games. And then the Dodgers beat the Mets in the NLCS. And it was in large part because Mike Scioscia, who hit 3 home runs during the regular season, hit a big home run off Dwight Gooden, who allowed only 8 home runs the whole season. You can't predict baseball, and there's no point thinking too much about October based on this series. But the excitement of the game, I think just purely from a baseball standpoint, you have to want the Dodgers and Braves to play each other in the NLCS. That is the best matchup. Now, I said it yesterday. I stand by it. I don't want the Braves in October. I want the Braves to lose. I want the Dodgers to have the easiest matchups possible. I want some team to get lucky and get a fluke victory over the Braves in the NLDS, and then they're burned out and the Dodgers beat them in the NLCS. That's what I want. But if the Dodgers do play the Braves, that would be awesome. Like, it would be an exciting matchup because this game was everything we could have hoped for. And Vince is going to talk more later about specifically Mookie Betts and Ronald Acuña, the two MVP candidates who traded blows. They both came up big for their teams. And, a lot to love about this game other than the final score. As a baseball fan, like, I can't even be very upset. And I've seen this sentiment a lot on Twitter tonight as I've been scrolling. A lot of people saying it's, you can't be too upset about that loss. And yeah, if you live and die by every Dodger game, you're not happy about any loss, but they showed heart. They showed determination. They battled. And it's all cheesy stuff, but it really is true about these teams. You go down 7-1 against a very good team with Spencer Strider on the mound, who might win the Cy Young Award. And it's hard to stay positive there. And yet they did, and they battled back, and they, got some big hits. They had 4 home runs, and they battled. It was fun. And all in all, a game that Lance Lynn was terrible and Spencer Strider was dominant at times. For the Dodgers to have the tying run in scoring position with 1 out in the 9th inning, like, it's not a bad loss, as far as losses go. If the Dodgers are going to lose 60 games this year, I'll take that one. I'll take that one 60 times. That would be nice. But yeah, it was a great game. From a baseball standpoint, I wish the Dodgers had won. I wish Mookie had been able to come up big. He led off the 9th inning. He'd already hit 2 home runs. It's like, it's not a storybook. These things don't always go the way you want it. They hardly ever go the way you want them to, the way they would if it was a movie. Mookie, imagine that, hitting a 3rd home run to tie the game, setting the record for most 3 home run games in a career, breaking the tie that he currently has with Sammy Sosa and whoever it was, Hack Wilson or somebody like that. No, Mel Ott, Johnny Mize probably. Mel Ott and Johnny Mize are the same person, so I think it was one of those guys. That would have been awesome, but it didn't happen. Freddie could have hit a double to tie the Dodgers record for doubles. He just walked, and ended up stranded at second base. All sorts of things could have gone better. They didn't, and that's okay. Baseball is a fun game, even when the Dodgers lose. And I'm pretty optimistic going into the last 3 games of the series. This was the matchup that most favored the Braves. Now, don't get me wrong, Max Fried is a very good pitcher. So I'm not saying the Dodgers have it easy the rest of the way. Max Fried, Charlie Morton, whoever else is pitching, solid pitchers. I think it's Bryce Elder pitching the other game. Solid pitchers. Max Fried's very good. But Spencer Strider against Lance Lynn was the matchup that most favored the Braves, and the Dodgers almost won this one. So I feel pretty optimistic about at least a series split here. So we'll take it. I do have some stuff to say about Lance Lynn, though, about what we saw from him and how much it should have been expected, and whether that tells us anything about what to expect from him in October, specifically against the Braves. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, I am back. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. especially want to thank our everydayers. If you're an everydayer, we love you. We appreciate you. If you're not an everydayer, just check us out every day. Watch us, listen to us. It's wherever you get podcasts. It's on YouTube. So many ways to watch or listen. You can also listen to it on SiriusXM on the SXM app by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And that's also where you can listen to every Dodgers game, the Dodgers radio broadcast on the SXM app by searching for Dodgers. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the YouTube comments section. Got a lot of great comments yesterday. Some Braves fans found it. I assume we'll have more Braves fans in the comments today. Welcome, Braves fans. I assume you guys agree. That was a great game. And, it was a lot of fun. So Braves fans are welcome. Everybody's welcome. Love to hear all of your thoughts in the YouTube comment section. Keep it civil. I love talking baseball with fans of other teams. Just don't be a jerk. And that goes to both sides. And if you're listening on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you through social media or email, whatever. Vince will give you all that contact info at the end. Let's talk about Lance Lynn before I turn it over to Vince. Lance Lynn was bad in this game. He gave up 3 home runs. Home runs weren't totally the problem, though. Like, obviously, the grand slam to Acuña was big, but the bases were loaded because of, 2 walks, a hit batter, and an infield single. And, walks aren't usually Lance Lynn's problem. He just didn't have his command tonight. He couldn't put guys away. I think most of the hits he allowed were with 2 strikes, including the homers. He'd get guys to 2 strikes, but then couldn't put them away. He only got, I think, 4 swings and misses in his 4 1/3 innings out of nearly 100 pitches. Only 4 swing and miss. That's rough. That's a hard way to try to win a baseball game. And we expected the home runs, honestly. The Braves have hit more home runs than anybody in baseball. They are a great hitting team, great home run hitting team too. And Lance Lynn gives up a crap load of homers. That's what Lance Lynn does. He's been effective so far with the Dodgers because when he gives up home runs, they're solo home runs. That wasn't the case tonight for Acuña's grand slam. That's the difference in the game. If Acuña, it shows how baseball is such a game of inches. Like the next time through the order, Nicky Lopez hit a ground out to second base, and then Ronald Acuña popped up. If Lance Lynn can throw those pitches in the previous situation, totally different ball game. Like, and that's not an excuse. That's not what I'm saying. Is it's there. There's potential, and that's why any game can go any other way, because sometimes those results are flipped. Sometimes Acuña's home run is a harmless solo home run because when the bases were loaded, Lance Lynn gets the pop up. It happens sometimes. It didn't happen tonight. Now, the question is, assuming the Dodgers play the Braves in the NLCS, can the Dodgers really run Lance Lynn out in a start against the Braves, knowing that he gives up a crap load of homers and that the Braves hit a crap load of homers? And I'm torn on this because it seems folly to go out there knowing, okay, he's probably going to give up 3 home runs. But if he can keep guys off the bases, otherwise, solo home runs don't hurt as much. We've seen the Dodgers can score runs. And so if Lance Lynn could go 6 innings and allow 3 runs on 3 solo homers, you take that every day of the week in a postseason game against the Braves, especially when we're talking about 3rd or 4th starter, which is what his role would be. Probably 4th starter. You take that. The problem is, and you look at Lynn's last few games, I think I saw that he only has 5 strikeouts in his last 3 starts. If you're not missing bats, that's where the bad batted ball luck comes in. Or guys work walks. Nicky Lopez's walk, it's because he fouled off a bunch of pitches. Like, he's batting 9th for a reason, and Lance Lynn couldn't put him away. And I know Nicky Lopez has been good since he came to the Braves, but he's not good. He's batting 9th for a reason. And Lance Lynn couldn't put him away. And that was the walk that tied the game. You need to be able to put batters away. And so I think that's something the Dodgers are going to be looking at over the next, Lynn probably has 5 starts left. Can he get those strikeout numbers up a little bit? Because if he can't get the swing and miss, it's a lot more likely that the home runs are going to come with guys on base, either because guys are able to work walks by fouling off pitches or because guys are putting the ball in play and getting hits, whether it's bloop hits or solid hits. The Braves had some of each. It's a lot more likely those home runs will come with runners on base. And so like, even with the caveat that if Lance Lynn faces the Braves in the postseason, yeah, he's going to give up a couple home runs. That's not the big question for me. The big question for me is, can he get some swing and miss so that the chances of those homers being solo homers goes up? That's what I think I need to see over these next 5 starts. I assume that's what Dave Roberts needs to see, because there are other options. They don't have to go with Lance Lynn. They've got obviously Clayton Kershaw, Julio, Bobby Miller. Those 3 guys, assuming Julio can bounce back, from his last start, realistically, those 3 guys are going to be in the Dodgers postseason rotation. And then that 4th spot doesn't have to be Lance Lynn. It could be Ryan Pepio. It could be Emmett Sheehan. It could be, a lot of these different options. And we'll just have to wait and see who it is. But Lance Lynn, nothing set in stone for Lance Lynn. And we said it when the Dodgers got Lance Lynn. He was a big help for the regular season, and we've seen that. He has helped solidify that rotation. Other than tonight, he goes deeper in games to help save the bullpen. It's not a coincidence the bullpen has pitched better since they didn't have to pitch 6 innings every game. The Lance Lynn acquisition has worked perfectly for what it is, but we said at the time, he's not a game changer for October. And we said he might not even pitch in October. And that's still the case, very much the case. The Dodgers don't need 4 starters in the NLDS. Even if the series goes 5 games, they can get by with 3 starters. They might not want to. They may go with 4 starters, but they don't necessarily need to go with 4 starters. And in the NLCS, they have other options for that 4th starter if they don't want Lance Lynn to face the Braves. So those are my thoughts on Lance Lynn. I'd love to know what you guys think. And I know there's a lot of emotion right now. Like, I'm sure we'll see some DFA Lance Lynn, because DFA is the most abused term in baseball. Lance Lynn won't be DFA'd, but his playoff spot isn't set in stone. So love to hear what you think on that. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap up my time here. So yeah, Vince will be along in a minute.
Yo, Dodger fans. Vince here to close out the episode. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to listen every day and become a part of the Everydayers. And make sure to tell your friends and family about us. If you want to watch, if you can't watch the Dodger game but want to listen to it, the home broadcast is available on SiriusXM or the SXM app. All you got to do is search for Dodgers. That's SiriusXM, SXM app. Search Dodgers for the home broadcast of any game. All right, as Jeff mentioned, talk a little bit about, well, first of all, we have the top 4 and now MVP candidates at Dodger Stadium for 4 games. Ronald Acuña Jr., Matt Olson from Atlanta side, from LA side, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Ronald Acuña Jr. got the big punch, the grand slam, and then Mookie Betts went to work and hit a pair of home runs. It was crazy because, Acuña homers, and then he becomes first player with 30 home runs and 60 RBI, and everybody's gonna take that and run with it as a reason why he should win MVP, just because you're doing something. I mean, I saw someone say, like, if you're creating your own club, then you should, or you win MVP or whatever. Probably a Braves fan. Which, yeah, okay, 30-60. I mean, you can't deny that. That's a great, Mookie Betts in the next couple of weeks will have his own club created as well. Most home runs out of the leadoff spot and most RBIs out of the leadoff spot. So, these guys are both doing things that are historic. I don't think there's, a reason to. We're going to have to wait till the season ends. But I do think what we saw on Mookie's first home run is, like, one of the big differences between these guys is defense. If Acuña had read the ball off the bat a little bit better and just ran straight back, knowing the ball was going to be over his head, he would have robbed Mookie's home run easy. He still almost robbed it, even though he kind of backtracked slowly. And the ball ended up going over his head and being a 3-run home run. But, I feel like Mookie would have read that faster. We've seen him do it before, rob home runs. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, to each their own. There's really no reason to debate this right now. because they're still in a whole another month. If Mookie has another month like he did in August, though, then it's not even going to be close. But, either way. And then, Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson didn't contribute too much into it. Olson was 0 for Mookie, or Freddie had a hit, at least one hit. But and obviously it's September now, but for August game, it was very intense at Dodger Stadium. There was, not a lot of Braves fans, but, some Braves fans. And then the Dodger fans, I don't know. Obviously, they could feel the intensity in these games, or in this game specifically, because they stuck around. I mean, obviously, the Dodgers made it close. It was 7-1 early on. The Dodgers cut it in half about halfway through, and then, kind of chipped away from there. But it was a really lively crowd. The pop on Mookie Betts' first home run was loud. It was a loud pop, and they just kind of stuck in the game. They were into it. They were giving Mookie MVP chants. They were chanting for Freddie. They were really into it. I've been to a lot of games this year, and obviously they haven't played. It hasn't been a top 2 teams in the league type of deal the whole entire year, and we're getting later in the season. But it was for a August/September game. It was a pretty intense crowd, so I give props to the crowd for that one. So yeah, we got 3 more games of this. Hopefully, at least 2 more. At least 2 come out on the Dodgers side. At the very least, take a split here. Genuinely wondering if the crowd will be that into. I would imagine the crowd's going to be like that all weekend. So that'll be fun to watch. It was James Outman and Miguel Vargas bobblehead, which was obviously a little bit weird just because Miguel Vargas isn't up right now and hasn't been for a little while now. But James Outman got to take in the bobblehead night on his own without his buddy Miguel. And you got Friday. Friday's always I think it's a drone show on Friday. Then you got Austin Barnes bobblehead Saturday, and then Sunday is just a holiday weekend Sunday. So we'll see how the crowd goes. But yeah, it was everything you could ask for in this game in terms of the hype, in terms of the MVP guys doing what they did, in terms of all that stuff. So it was fun game to be at. Obviously, I wish the Dodgers would have come out on top, but you know what? You can't always get what you want. And as a pure baseball fan, like I said, this was a really, really good. You're not going to get games like this between the top 2 teams, top 4 MVP can't. Like, you're not going to get a lot. And for the first game to live up to the hype, was pretty cool. Around the Dodgers, there was a little bits of news here and there. So now it is September 1st. As you're listening to this, rosters do expand. They do not expand like they did before, where you could use up to your whole 40-man roster. You can add 2 players. For the Dodgers, they can only add 1 pitcher because it's a maximum of 14 pitchers, and the Dodgers already have 13. So the Dodgers will be adding 1 pitcher and 1 hitter. And we got news from JP Hornstra that hitter is going to be Kolten Wong, who the Dodgers just signed to a minor league deal not that long ago. He actually has been hitting pretty well at OKC. This seems more obviously of a defensive decision, because we had talked a little bit about who they're going to call up, and probably wasn't going to be Miguel Vargas, just because it wasn't a guarantee that he's going to hit when it does come back up. And Michael Busch is up right now, although he'll probably go back down when JT returns next week. And then I don't think I said this on the show, but I definitely said it to some people I've talked to the last couple of weeks. I thought they'd just call Yanni Hernandez back up just for defensive purposes, just to have another middle infielder, and in case they do a lot of shuffling early in the game and they need some defense later in the game, whatever the case is. But they didn't. They did Kolten Wong, similar profiles in terms of defense, similar profiles in terms of what positions they play. Kolten Wong has been a good major league hitter as late as last year. So, maybe he'll bring some value at the very least. He'll bring defensive value and maybe some pinch running late in the game if they need it. So, Kolten Wong, that's what happened there. In terms of MLB news, the waiver claims, I bet a lot of teams were mad on Thursday to hear what happened because the Cleveland Guardians, who were around 5 or 6 games under 500, still technically in playoff contention because the AL Central is so bad. They took all the Angel guys. They took Reynaldo Lopez. They took Lucas Giolito. They took Matt Moore. They, benefited from having a worse record, and they put claims in and got all of them. Now, I saw a lot of people, saying that if you put in one, like you should get one claim and then kind of back to the end of the line type of deal, and then you can't claim somebody else, But that's the rule. They were working within the rules that are right now, and they got 3 new players for a push to try to take down the Twins there in the AL Central, which interesting. I think we saw the Marlins had put in for them. I'm sure the Giants, I'm sure these other teams that are hovering around there had put in for them, but Guardians are the one that got them. They're 5 games back of the Twins right now, so they got a month to play. And I'm sure they play the Twins in that month. So, good luck to them. This was after they designated Noah Syndergaard for assignment a few days ago. So they did need a pitcher, I guess. So, yeah, that works there. And then the hitters, Hunter Renfroe and Harrison Bader went to the Reds. So the state of Ohio got all the main waiver claims. Randall Grichuk went through unclaimed, so he's going to have to stay on the Angels, which kind of sucks for him if he was hoping to get into a playoff push here for this last month. So that's what happened there. And then just real quick, a little bit of news from Dodger world in terms of updates. Shelby Miller was back, and he pitched a scoreless inning last night, so that's good to see. Blake Treinen had a little bit of soreness after one of his rehab assignments, so he's day-to-day. They're going to monitor how he goes. Walker Buehler is set to make an appearance on Sunday for the OKC Dodgers. Dave Roberts said about 1 to 2 innings. I'm sure there'll be a pitch count tied to it, so that's why they didn't, give a hard innings. And Roberts said it would take about 3 appearances in order for the Dodgers to consider bringing him back. He is going to be working as a starter, but he doesn't have the time to get fully fleshed out, so yeah, we'll see what that means. If he becomes Walker Buehler and is anything close to it, I could see him being a number 4 starter. And, maybe they don't go with Lance Lynn if he doesn't improve the strikeouts or doesn't improve, doesn't have a lights out September. So we'll see what happens there. But exciting to see Walker Buehler on a mound. I kind of said I don't expect him. There was a moment for a while, probably close to or at the start of this month and before that, where I thought Walker Buehler would have a chance to actually help the Dodgers come down to it. But I think this is more for Walker at this point than it is for the Dodgers, because I don't think they realistically expect him to bring, to help out. And if he does, that's obviously a benefit. But if he doesn't, at least he, for himself, got on a mound, got close to it, and maybe pitches for the Dodgers at some point in September. And then Daniel Hudson, not likely to pitch for the Dodgers this year. He still has general knee soreness from getting hurt earlier this season. So not great there. I think that was all the updates. There might be one more. Let me just check real quick. JD Martinez expected back next week. Oh, Joe Kelly threw a bullpen. Didn't feel great. He's still expected to come back this year. He's supposed to throw another bullpen here in the next few days, and then another bullpen after that, and then we'll see what happens from there. And then Almonte still dealing with his. So that's all that came from the injury front. Maybe some reinforcements to look forward to. So that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. The Everydayers is an exclusive club of people that listen to Locked On Dodgers every single weekday when we drop. You can be part of that club. All you got to do is start listening and watching every single weekday. Tell your friends, tell your family. It's September going into October. It's an exciting time to be a Dodger fan. Why not get your friends talking about the Dodgers, and why not get them talking about the Dodgers through our podcast, Locked On Dodgers. Remember, SiriusXM or the SXM app. If you want to listen to the home broadcast for any Dodger game, all you got to do is search Dodgers on SiriusXM or the SXM app. You can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent's91. Hit us on our personal DMs if you need to have any questions, comments, or concerns. You can also hit us on email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or leave us a text, or leave us a voicemail, send us a text at 323-863-LOCK. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, text my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.